Most people believe strokes happen suddenly, without warning. But what if I told you your body gives you clear danger signals every single morning, and most seniors unknowingly ignore them? If you're over 60, the first hour after waking is the most dangerous time of your entire day for your brain. Blood pressure surges, blood thickens, stress hormones spike, and simple habits, things you've done for decades, can quietly triple your stroke risk without you ever feeling sick. Today, I'll show you the 7 common morning habits that silently damage the aging brain, why doctors rarely warn seniors about them, and how small changes starting tomorrow morning can dramatically lower your stroke risk. Stay with me, because one of these habits looks healthy, but it's one of the most dangerous things you can do after 60. After 60, your body no longer rebounds from stress the way it once did. When you wake up, blood pressure rises 20 to 30%. Blood becomes thicker from overnight dehydration. Platelets become stickier, increasing clot risk. Cortisol floods your system. Cardiologists call this the morning vulnerability window, lasting about 90 minutes. Most strokes in seniors occur between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. And what you do in this window matters more than diet or exercise later in the day. After 60, your body no longer rebounds from stress the way it once did. What once felt like a simple morning routine is now the most fragile stretch of your entire day. When you wake up, your body doesn't ease into consciousness, it surges. Blood pressure jumps by as much as 20 to 30% within minutes. Your blood is thicker after hours without water, moving more slowly through vessels that may already be stiffened by age. Platelets become stickier, more eager to clump together, quietly raising the risk of clots. Cortisol, the stress hormone, floods your system like an alarm bell you didn't ask to ring. Cardiologists have a name for this period, the morning vulnerability window. It lasts about 90 minutes, and during this time, your body is under its greatest internal strain. It's no coincidence that most strokes in older adults occur between 6 and 10 in the morning. And here's the part that surprises most people. What you do in this narrow window may matter more than what you eat or how hard you exercise later in the day. The moment your eyes open, your nervous system flips a switch. During sleep, your body is in repair mode. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, inflammation cools down. But waking up triggers a rapid shift from rest to readiness. The problem is that aging changes how smoothly this transition happens. Arteries lose elasticity. Baroreceptors, the sensors that regulate blood pressure, respond more slowly. The heart works harder to push blood through vessels that don't expand the way they once did. This is why the simple act of standing up too quickly can make you feel dizzy, unsteady, or lightheaded. It's not weakness. It's physiology. Overnight dehydration plays a silent but powerful role. While you sleep, you lose fluid through breathing and sweat, even if you don't notice it. By morning, blood plasma volume is lower, making blood thicker and more concentrated. Thicker blood flows less easily and is more likely to clot, especially when platelets are already primed to stick together. Add in a sudden spike in blood pressure, and you have a perfect storm forming inside your arteries before you've even left the bed. Cortisol adds fuel to the fire. This hormone follows a natural rhythm, peaking in the early morning to help you wake up. In younger bodies, this surge is balanced and efficient. After 60, cortisol can hit harder and linger longer. It raises blood sugar, tightens blood vessels, and increases heart rate. All of this is meant to prepare you for the day, but when layered on top of stiff arteries and thicker blood, it becomes a strain rather than a support. This is why mornings are different now. It's why heart attacks, strokes, and sudden cardiac events cluster in the early hours. It's not random, and it's not bad luck. It's timing. Yet most people treat mornings as a race. The alarm goes off. You sit up fast. Feet hit the floor. Maybe you rush to the bathroom, grab coffee, check your phone, tense your jaw at the news, and mentally leap into responsibilities. Each of these actions sends small stress signals into a system that is already under pressure. The body hasn't stabilized yet, but the demands start piling on. What if the first 90 minutes weren't something to push through, but something to protect? Imagine the morning vulnerability window as a fragile bridge between sleep and full wakefulness. How you cross that bridge matters. Rush across it, and cracks form. Move steadily, and the structure holds. The first decision happens before you even sit up. When you wake, pause. Take 3 slow breaths while still lying down. This simple act tells your nervous system that there is no emergency. It slows the heart rate just enough to soften the initial blood pressure surge. Then, instead of sitting up abruptly, roll onto your side. Let your legs dangle over the edge of the bed for a moment. This gives your circulatory system time to adjust to gravity, reducing sudden drops or spikes in pressure. Hydration comes next, and it matters more than coffee. A glass of water within the first few minutes of waking begins to thin the blood and restore plasma volume. This is not about flooding your system. It's about signaling to your body that resources are available. Even small amounts make a difference. Warm or room temperature water is often better tolerated in the morning and less shocking to the system. Movement in this window should be gentle, not intense. Many people believe they need to get the blood pumping first thing, but aggressive exercise during this vulnerable period can actually increase risk. Stretching, slow walking, light mobility movements. These encourage circulation without spiking heart rate or blood pressure. Think of it as coaxing your system awake rather than jolting it. Stress exposure in the morning is another underestimated factor. Checking emails, watching alarming news, or immediately engaging in problem-solving activates the sympathetic nervous system. Cortisol rises further. Blood vessels constrict more tightly. For an aging cardiovascular system, this can tip the balance. Delaying stressful inputs, even by 30 to 60 minutes, can significantly reduce strain during the vulnerability window. Breathing patterns matter too. Shallow, rapid breathing increases carbon dioxide loss, which can constrict blood vessels in the brain. Slow, nasal breathing helps maintain better oxygen-carbon dioxide balance, supporting cerebral blood flow. It's a subtle effect, but during a high-risk window, subtle matters. Nutrition timing also plays a role. Heavy, sugary breakfasts can spike blood glucose and insulin, adding metabolic stress on top of cardiovascular stress. Lighter, protein-forward meals, or even delaying breakfast slightly while hydrating and moving gently may be safer for many older adults. The goal is stability, not stimulation. Sleep quality the night before quietly determines how dangerous the morning becomes. Poor sleep increases baseline cortisol, inflammation, and blood pressure, making the morning surge steeper. Consistent sleep schedules, dark rooms, and minimizing late-night stress are not just about rest. They are about morning survival. Medications, when prescribed, should be taken exactly as directed, especially blood pressure and blood-thinning medications. Skipping doses or mistiming them can leave the morning window unprotected. This is a conversation worth having with a healthcare provider, particularly about timing medications to cover early morning risk. The most powerful shift, however, is psychological. Understanding that mornings are not neutral changes behavior. When you realize that your body is temporarily more fragile, you naturally become more careful. You stop rushing. You stop forcing. You start listening. This isn't about fear. It's about respect. Respect for a body that has carried you through decades and now asks for a gentler transition into each day. Because later in the afternoon, your body is different. Blood pressure stabilizes. Blood viscosity improves. Hormones level out. The cardiovascular system is more resilient. Exercise, challenges, even stress are better tolerated then. But the morning is a narrow gate, and gates are crossed slowly for a reason. Many people spend years focusing on diet plans, supplements, and workout routines while overlooking the most dangerous 90 minutes of their day. They believe health is built only in effort. In reality, health after 60 is built in timing. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. You don't need to do more. You need to do things differently, especially when the sun first comes up. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, don't ask, "What do I need to accomplish today?" Ask something more important. How do I cross the next 90 minutes safely? Because the way you start your morning doesn't just shape your day. It can decide whether you get to have one at all. And here's the hook most people never hear. The greatest threat to your health after 60 isn't what you eat, how much you exercise, or even your genetics. It's how you treat your body in the first moments after you open your eyes. And now that you know that, the question is, will tomorrow morning be any different? Your brain cannot tell the difference between a real physical threat and stressful digital information. And that single misunderstanding may be one of the most dangerous design flaws of modern life. Because from a neurological standpoint, fear is fear, urgency is urgency, and danger is danger, whether it comes from a predator in front of you or a glowing screen in your hand. And every time a breaking news headline flashes red, every time a message notification vibrates unexpectedly, every time you open your phone to a flood of conflict, outrage, or urgency, your brain reacts as if your survival is at stake, activating the same ancient stress circuitry that once kept humans alive in the wild, flooding your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline, raising heart rate, tightening blood vessels, and preparing your body for a fight that never actually comes. And the problem is not that this response exists, but that it is being triggered constantly, silently, and without recovery. Because, unlike a physical threat that ends, digital stress does not resolve. It refreshes, reloads, and repeats, keeping your nervous system in a permanent state of alert. And this becomes especially dangerous during one of the most overlooked moments of the day, the seconds immediately after waking, when your brain chemistry is at its most vulnerable, when cortisol is already naturally elevated to help you transition from sleep to consciousness, and when your body is still lying flat, with blood pressure and circulation calibrated for rest, not stress. And yet this is the exact moment millions of people reach for their phones, before standing, before moving, before even taking a deep breath. And the research shows that checking your phone in this state can double cortisol spikes, significantly raise blood pressure, and reduce blood flow to the brain while lying flat, creating a perfect physiological storm where stress hormones surge while circulation is compromised, forcing the heart to work harder against constricted vessels. And this is not just a temporary discomfort. This is cumulative damage, because cortisol is not meant to be high for long periods. And when it is, it begins to erode the systems that keep you alive, weakening blood vessels, increasing inflammation, thickening the blood, disrupting glucose regulation, and accelerating plaque formation in arteries. And over time, this chronic overload becomes one of the strongest predictors of stroke, especially in seniors, whose vascular systems are already less flexible, whose recovery mechanisms are slower, and whose brains are more sensitive to fluctuations in blood flow. And what makes this even more alarming is that none of this feels dramatic in the moment. There is no pain, no warning alarm, no immediate consequence, just a quiet habit repeated every morning. A phone lifted before the body is ready, a mind flooded before the heart has adjusted, and the brain interprets it all as danger, because evolution never taught it the difference between a headline and a hazard. And this is why so many people feel exhausted before their day even begins, why anxiety feels baseline, why focus feels fractured, why mornings no longer feel like beginnings but like battles. And the truth is that your nervous system is being ambushed at its weakest point, trained to expect crisis the moment consciousness returns. And once that pattern is established, it doesn't stay in the morning, it follows you through the day, making every notification another threat, every delay another emergency, every silence another source of unease. And over months and years, this constant low-grade stress reshapes the brain itself, shrinking areas responsible for memory and emotional regulation, overactivating fear centers, and dulling the systems that normally calm you down, so that even rest no longer feels restorative. And the most dangerous part is that this is all normalized, framed as productivity, connection, staying informed, when in reality it is biological sabotage, and the body keeps score even when the mind dismisses the cost. Because arteries don't care about intentions, neurons don't care about convenience, and cortisol doesn't care that the threat is digital. It only knows that it has been summoned again and again, without relief. And for older adults, this becomes especially critical because the margin for error is smaller, the buffer thinner, and the consequences more severe, making double cortisol overload not just a stress issue, but a silent stroke risk hiding in plain sight, embedded in a habit that feels harmless, even necessary. And yet the most powerful intervention is also the simplest, because the brain may not know the difference between a threat and a notification, but you do. And the moment you choose to delay that first scroll, to let your body stand, breathe, and stabilize before engaging with the digital world, you interrupt the cascade that could otherwise follow you for the rest of the day, and possibly the rest of your life. And here is the question that matters most, the one that turns awareness into action, the one that lingers after the screen goes dark. If your brain believes your phone is a threat, why do you hand it the first moment of your day? Every night, as you fall asleep, something remarkable happens inside your body that you never consciously notice. Your heart slows, your breathing deepens, and your blood pressure quietly drops, giving your blood vessels a much-needed rest after a full day of keeping you upright, alert, and alive. And this natural drop is not a flaw but a feature, a carefully designed reset that protects your heart and brain while you sleep. Yet this same protective mechanism becomes dangerous the moment you wake up and move too fast, because when you suddenly stand after hours of lying down, gravity immediately pulls blood toward your legs and lower body, away from your brain, and for a brief but critical moment, your brain may not receive the oxygen-rich blood it needs, creating a split second of dizziness, lightheadedness, or blurred vision that many people dismiss as harmless. But this moment is anything but trivial, because under normal conditions, your nervous system reacts instantly, tightening blood vessels and increasing heart rate to push blood back upward, restoring balance almost seamlessly. But as we age, these reflexes slow down, the signals become weaker, and the adjustment that once took milliseconds may now take several seconds, or fail entirely. And this condition has a name: orthostatic hypotension. A silent and underestimated drop in blood pressure that occurs when you change positions too quickly, especially from lying down to standing. And while it may feel like nothing more than a fleeting head rush, it is one of the leading hidden contributors to morning falls, fainting episodes, and even strokes, particularly in older adults. Because when the brain is deprived of oxygen, even briefly, neurons begin to struggle, balance falters, reaction time slow, and the risk of losing consciousness rises dramatically, turning an ordinary morning routine into a moment of danger because of fall in. The bathroom or kitchen doesn't just cause bruises. It can result in broken hips, head trauma, or long-term disability. And even more alarming is the connection to morning strokes, which occur disproportionately in the early hours after waking, precisely when blood pressure regulation is at its most unstable. And yet this threat remains largely unspoken, overshadowed by more dramatic health warnings. Even though the solution is deceptively simple and requires no medication, no equipment, and no expense, just time, because research and clinical experience show that a slow, deliberate 90-second transition from lying down to standing can dramatically reduce the risk, those 90 seconds giving your nervous system the chance to wake up alongside your body, allowing blood vessels to constrict gradually, heart rate to adjust smoothly, and blood flow to return safely to the brain. And this transition doesn't begin when your feet hit the floor. It begins the moment you wake, by first lying still, taking slow breaths, gently moving your hands and feet to activate circulation, then sitting up slowly, letting your legs dangle, feeling gravity without surrendering to it, and only then, after another pause, standing up with intention rather than urgency, because urgency is the enemy of stability, and modern life conditions us to move fast, to jump out of bed to alarms and obligations. But your body, especially an aging body, was not designed for abrupt transitions. It was designed for rhythm. And when that rhythm is ignored, the consequences can be devastating, because the brain, despite representing only a small fraction of your body weight, consumes a massive share of your oxygen supply, and even brief interruptions can disrupt vision, cognition, and balance, increasing the likelihood of missteps and accidents that change lives in an instant. And the tragedy is that many people blame themselves for feeling weak or clumsy, unaware that what they're experiencing is a physiological delay, not a personal failure, and that awareness alone can be life-saving, because orthostatic hypotension does not announce itself loudly. It whispers, through subtle dizziness, through moments of unsteadiness, through that familiar black curtain, closing in for a second when you stand too fast, and ignoring these whispers is what allows them to escalate into screams, into emergency room visits, into permanent damage that could have been prevented by patience measured in seconds. And those seconds matter more than we realize, because once a fall or stroke occurs, the body may never fully recover, independence may be lost, and families are left asking how something so ordinary could lead to something so catastrophic, when the truth is that it wasn't sudden at all. It was predictable, preventable, and waiting quietly every morning. And this is why understanding your body's transition states is just as important as understanding disease, because health isn't only about what you eat or how much you exercise. It's about how you move through space and time, especially at the thresholds between rest and activity. And the morning is the most vulnerable threshold of all. When blood pressure is low, hydration is reduced, reflexes are slower, and the brain is still emerging from sleep, and yet we treat it like any other moment, rushing through it without respect for its fragility. And this lack of respect costs lives every year, particularly among older adults who are often told to be careful, without being told how. But now you know how, and knowing changes everything. Because a 90-second pause is not an inconvenience. It's a shield. It's an insurance policy against falls, fractures, and irreversible brain injury. It's a quiet act of self-preservation that signals to your body that it is safe to rise, safe to engage, safe to face the day. And once you adopt this habit, it becomes second nature, woven into your mornings as naturally as breathing, and the benefits extend beyond safety, because smoother transitions reduce strain on the heart, improve balance confidence, and reduce anxiety around movement, which in turn encourages mobility rather than fear. And fear is another silent thief of health, keeping people sedentary and isolated after falls that might never have happened. And so the next time you wake up, before your feet touch the floor, remember that your body has just traveled from stillness to motion, from darkness to light, from rest to responsibility, and it deserves a moment to catch up, because the most dangerous step you take each day is often the first one. And the difference between safety and catastrophe may be no more than 90 seconds. So pause, breathe, sit, stand, slowly, because sometimes the smallest change in how you move can mean the difference between waking up and never waking up the same again. And if this message reaches you before it reaches someone you love, share it, because awareness travels faster than blood, and knowledge, when applied, can stop a fall before it happens, a stroke before it steals a future. And if you remember only one thing tomorrow morning, let it be this. Don't rise to meet the day, let the day rise with you. Cold water has long been praised as refreshing, invigorating, even energizing, but inside the body, its effects are far more complex than most people realize. When cold water enters the system, especially suddenly, it doesn't just quench thirst, it sends a powerful signal to the nervous system. At the center of that signal is the vagus nerve, one of the most influential communication highways in the human body. This nerve plays a crucial role in regulating heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, and the body's stress response. When exposed to cold stimuli, the vagus nerve can become overstimulated, triggering a cascade of physiological reactions that the body may interpret as a form of stress rather than relief. The vagus nerve is designed to help the body maintain balance, but abrupt cold exposure can disrupt that balance, especially in sensitive or aging systems. When cold water is consumed, particularly in large amounts or on an empty stomach, the body may react defensively. Blood vessels constrict as a protective mechanism, reducing blood flow to the digestive system and redirecting it toward vital organs. This narrowing of blood vessels increases resistance within the circulatory system, forcing the heart to work harder to maintain adequate blood flow. Over time, or in vulnerable individuals, this strain can contribute to irregular heart rhythms, commonly referred to as arrhythmias. Irregular heart rhythms are not always immediately noticeable. Sometimes they appear as a subtle flutter in the chest, a skipped beat, or a momentary sense of dizziness. Other times, they develop silently, gradually increasing cardiovascular risk without obvious warning signs. Cold-induced vagal stimulation can slow the heart rate abruptly or, paradoxically, cause it to beat erratically. For individuals with underlying heart conditions, high blood pressure, or age-related cardiovascular changes, this sudden shift can be particularly destabilizing. Beyond its effects on heart rhythm, cold water also influences the behavior of blood itself. When blood vessels constrict, circulation slows in peripheral areas. This sluggish movement increases the likelihood of clot formation, especially in individuals already prone to clotting due to dehydration, inflammation, or sedentary habits. Cold temperatures can increase blood viscosity, making it thicker and less efficient at flowing smoothly. Over time, Repeated exposure to cold-induced constriction may quietly elevate the risk of cardiovascular events. The digestive system is also deeply affected by temperature. Cold water can dampen digestive enzyme activity, slowing the breakdown and absorption of nutrients. The stomach and intestines function most efficiently in a warm, stable environment. Introducing cold liquid forces the body to expend additional energy simply to restore internal temperature equilibrium. This extra workload may not seem significant in the moment, but over time it contributes to systemic stress, particularly in older adults whose metabolic flexibility has naturally declined. Hydration, at its core, is meant to support the body, not challenge it. Warm or room temperature water integrates seamlessly into the system, allowing cells to absorb fluids efficiently without triggering defensive responses. Instead of constricting blood vessels, gentle warmth encourages relaxation, promoting smoother circulation and steadier heart rhythms. The vagus nerve responds favorably to warmth, enhancing parasympathetic activity, the rest and digest state that supports healing, recovery, and long-term resilience. For aging systems, this distinction becomes even more important. As the body ages, its ability to adapt quickly to environmental stressors diminishes. Blood vessels lose some of their elasticity, heart tissue becomes more sensitive to electrical disruptions, and the nervous system requires more stability to function optimally. What once felt invigorating in youth may become destabilizing later in life. Gentle warmth, by contrast, offers protection. It supports circulation without forcing the heart to compensate. It aids digestion without draining energy reserves. It hydrates without shocking the nervous system. The idea that colder is always better has been deeply ingrained by modern wellness culture. But ancient healing traditions understood something essential. The body thrives on balance. Sudden extremes, whether of temperature, stress, or stimulation, force the body into survival mode. While brief stress can sometimes build resilience, repeated unnecessary stress wears systems down. Hydration should be restorative, not reactive. Room temperature water allows the body to remain in equilibrium. It supports the smooth movement of blood, reduces unnecessary vascular tension, and helps maintain consistent heart rhythms. It does not interfere with digestion or thermoregulation. Instead, it quietly does its job, delivering hydration where it is needed most, without demanding compensation from already hard-working organs. Warm water goes a step further. It gently dilates blood vessels, improving circulation and easing pressure on the heart. It soothes the nervous system, reinforcing signals of safety and calm through the vagus nerve. It encourages digestive flow, helping nutrients move efficiently through the gut. Over time, these small, consistent advantages accumulate, supporting cardiovascular health, metabolic efficiency, and nervous system stability. This is not about fear or restriction. It is about awareness. Understanding how something as simple as water temperature affects the body empowers better daily choices. Hydration is not merely about how much water you drink, but how your body receives it. When hydration aligns with the body's natural rhythms, it becomes a tool for longevity rather than a hidden stressor. As the years pass, the body quietly asks for gentler support. It responds best to consistency, warmth, and care. Choosing water that works with the nervous system rather than against it is one of the simplest yet most overlooked ways to protect long-term health. The vagus nerve, the heart, and the circulatory system all respond to signals of safety and stability. Warmth provides that signal. So the next time you reach for a glass of water, pause for a moment. Consider not just your thirst, but your nervous system, your heart, and your future self. Because hydration is not just about survival. It is about how gracefully your body continues to function over time. And sometimes, the smallest change, like choosing warmth over shock, can quietly become the difference between strain and support, between stress and balance, between merely getting by and truly protecting the systems that carry you through life. Have you ever wondered why your blood pressure medication doesn't seem to work as quickly as you expected? Many people believe that popping a pill will instantly bring their numbers down, but that's not how it works. Blood pressure medications are designed to work over time, regulating your system gradually. When taken incorrectly, however, the consequences can be more serious than you might think. Let's start by talking about the morning blood pressure surge. Most of us don't realize that our blood pressure naturally rises in the early hours of the day, as part of the body's normal circadian rhythm. This surge is your body's way of waking you up and preparing your organs for daily activity. But here's the catch. If your medication is not taken at the right time or in the correct way, this morning's surge goes unprotected. That means your heart, brain, and blood vessels are exposed to higher pressures when they're most vulnerable. Studies show that the morning hours are when the risk of heart attack and stroke is actually at its highest. Missing this window isn't just a minor issue, it's a serious risk. Taking blood pressure medication incorrectly doesn't just leave you unprotected. It can sometimes cause your blood pressure to drop too quickly. This sudden drop can be dangerous. Imagine your heart, which has adjusted to a certain level of pressure, suddenly finding itself in a low-pressure environment. This abrupt change can trigger dizziness, fainting, or even falls. For older adults, falls are not just inconvenient. They can be life-threatening, leading to broken bones, head injuries, and a decline in overall health. And then there's the broader risk: strokes and heart attacks. Blood pressure that is poorly managed, either too high at the wrong times or dropping too fast, puts enormous stress on the cardiovascular system. The arteries can be damaged by high pressure, while the heart struggles to cope with rapid fluctuations. Each misstep increases the risk of a serious event, sometimes with lifelong consequences. So why does this happen? Why doesn't medication always work as expected? Part of the issue lies in timing. Different medications work on different schedules. Some are meant to act throughout the day, while others are designed to target nighttime or early morning pressure specifically. Skipping doses, taking pills at inconsistent times, or even splitting doses without medical guidance can throw off this delicate balance. Even seemingly small mistakes can have a big impact on your health. Another factor is lifestyle. Blood pressure medication doesn't exist in a vacuum. Eating high-salt foods, not exercising, consuming alcohol, or failing to manage stress can all reduce the effectiveness of your treatment. These lifestyle factors can exacerbate the natural morning surge or contribute to unexpected drops later in the day. It's not just about taking a pill. It's about integrating your medication into a holistic approach to heart health. Monitoring is key. Regular blood pressure checks, whether at home or in the clinic, give you and your healthcare provider the information needed to adjust your treatment. Home monitoring can be especially valuable, allowing you to see how your body responds to your medication at different times of the day. When your readings are tracked consistently, it's easier to avoid dangerous spikes or drops and ensure that your medication is doing its job effectively. And let's talk about adherence. Studies show that up to half of patients do not take their blood pressure medication as prescribed. Sometimes it's forgetfulness, sometimes it's side effects, and sometimes it's simply a misunderstanding of instructions. But the consequences are real. Missing doses or taking extra doses to catch up can both backfire. Extra doses can lead to dangerously low blood pressure, while missed doses can leave you exposed to harmful surges. It's also important to recognize the signs that your medication isn't working as intended. Unexplained dizziness, headaches, blurred vision, or feeling unusually tired can all be warning signs. If you experience these symptoms, don't ignore them or adjust your medication on your own. Speak with your healthcare provider. They can adjust your regimen safely and help you avoid complications. Education plays a crucial role. Patients need to understand not just that they need to take medication, but how and why. Clear communication with your doctor about your daily routine, lifestyle, and any side effects can make a huge difference. Sometimes a simple change in timing, taking a pill in the evening instead of the morning, for instance, can provide better protection during the vulnerable early hours and reduce the risk of sudden drops. Now, let's address a common misconception: that blood pressure medication should make you feel different. In reality, effective treatment often works silently. You might not notice immediate changes in how you feel, but your blood vessels, heart, and kidneys are being protected. This silent effect is precisely why adherence matters so much. You can't rely on sensation alone to know whether your medication is working. Technology can help too. Smartphone apps and reminders, smart pill organizers, and wearable blood pressure monitors are becoming more accessible. These tools can help you take your medication consistently, track your blood pressure, and even share data with your healthcare provider. The goal is to create a system that supports your health, reduces risk, and helps you feel confident in your treatment. Let's not forget the human factor, stress and emotional health. Blood pressure is closely linked to the nervous system. Stress hormones like adrenaline can trigger sudden spikes in pressure, counteracting your medication's effects. Incorporating stress-reducing practices like meditation, deep breathing, or light exercise can enhance medication efficacy and provide an additional layer of protection against morning surges. In summary, blood pressure medication is a powerful tool, but it's not foolproof. Taking it incorrectly, whether by missing doses, taking the wrong timing, or combining it with risky lifestyle habits, can leave you unprotected, increase the risk of falls, and elevate your chances of heart attack or stroke. Protecting your health requires understanding, vigilance, and consistent communication with your healthcare team. Remember, the small actions you take every day, taking your medication on time, monitoring your readings, maintaining a heart-healthy lifestyle, add up to big results. Blood pressure management isn't about instant fixes. It's about creating a safe, steady rhythm that protects your heart and your future. So, here's the key takeaway. Your medication works best when it's used correctly, predictably, and as part of a comprehensive approach to health. Missing this critical step isn't just a minor mistake. It's a risk your heart can't afford. Take control, protect yourself, and make every dose count. Because when it comes to your blood pressure, timing truly is everything. And now, here's a thought to leave you with. Every morning your heart whack. After 60, health isn't about big changes. It's about small daily protections. Your morning routine is either training your brain to survive or quietly programming damage. Gentle wake-up, no phone first hour, slow standing, warm hydration, correct medication timing. These take minutes, but they can save decades of independence.